NERDSoul.
Why are you a black man in love? Hey y'all, thank you so much for joining us once again for this brand spanking new podcast here on NERDSoul. I'm Lisa, known as Lady Lisa to some of you, and I'm joined by my sister cousin, former alleged partner in crime, Cletus to my Cleophas, and aka Madam Buddaphlai. Say hey.
Peace, love, and light, everybody.
All right. And this is Black Together, a walk in her shoes. And how would you really describe what this show is all about, Kim?
Well, we are two powerful Black women giving our views on various topics that may or may not reflect those of NERDSoul.
All right. And before we go any farther, we want to thank NERDSoul for allowing us to be on this platform. You can check me and NERDSoul out on ThatNERDSoul.com on Tuesdays for the original Black Together, and then NERDSoul and his crew on Wednesdays for Beats Vibes Life, and NERDSoul and I together again on Friday nights for lounging. Okay, again, check all that out on ThatNERDSoul.com. Okay, Kim. What's in the shoebox this week, Lord?
Well, today we have a black and white Nike Cortez because we are talking about Ice Cube's contract with Black America and how the naysayers are having a plum fit.
Girl, a plum fit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this thing started. So let's just go ahead and start off with the contract with Black America.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to read it, but anyone who wants to read it, you can go to contractwithblackamerica.us. That's all together, contractwithblackamerica.us. So what it is a 13-point document that Ice Cube put together along with some other people. And it's, to me, it's very straightforward, very straight to the point. It covers finances, covers police reform, federal funding, data, all different types of areas specific to Black folks, not people of color, not minorities, Black folks. All right. So when you get a chance to, people, you should read it.
Indeed.
All right. So that's what he came up with. Now, this is something I believe he said he had been working on since if I'm correct, I want to say it was like June, July. Some people are saying, why he wait till now to come up with it? What he been doing all this time? What ain't he doing before? Well, he done did it. Okay. He didn't do it before, but guess what? He did it before all of y'all because y'all don't have nothing. Okay.
Right? Oh my gosh. You can't win with some people. You know what I mean? It's always going to be something. But I was actually surprised that people were questioning like why he has like a hand in the fight, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Not just from the obvious with him being a Black man and him experiencing being Black in America, but Ice Cube has a history of, through his music. If you look at old interviews from back in the 90s, he has consistently talked about how poverty has been a problem for the Black community, violence, all of that. So I feel like, there's been like this campaign to try to invalidate him as the messenger. Mm-hmm. But when you do that, you're also discounting the message.
Yeah.
And I mean, I looked at, the contract, and I think that it's a great starting point, to bring to the table. I mean, who else can say that they have a agenda that is exclusive to Black people?
And yes, exactly.
Not minorities, not, the disenfranchised, because there's a huge umbrella.
Yeah.
But I have yet to see any person come up with, or any organization come up with, something specific to the needs of Black people.
Absolutely. And that's what he keeps emphasizing. And, you have some people that are just like, oh, well, there are others that have been on the ground and working on this for 20 years. And he's like, well, keep up the good work.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what the problem is. It's not, okay, you try for 20 years. And then when it doesn't work out for you, then I'm going to try for 20 years. And the next thing you know, we all dead. And now it's time for our children to try. Like, what sense does that make? And like he said, there's going to be a lot of overlap. There's going to be some things that he comes up with that overlaps with something somebody else came up with. And my thing is this: if it all overlaps, it doesn't matter until it's done.
Right.
Because we keep needing to scream this out, emphasize, and keep pushing until we get what it is we need. If somebody beside me says it and I say it again 10 minutes later, evidently you ain't hearing us. So that means the next person need to say it again.
Absolutely.
So y'all get tired of hearing us.
Exactly. And even after we get it, we have to be even more hypervigilant at that point, because it seems that every time we have some sense of justice where we can kind of see it on the horizon, there's always a loophole that's created, or the goalpost moves. So this is a never-ending thing. And I really don't understand why there is a problem with this person coming to the forefront and saying, hey, this is what it is. We do have a history of entertainers, athletes, people of that world having different political stances and different things like that. You know what I mean? Muhammad Ali is looked at, as a hero and icon, even though he was an athlete, Kaepernick,
Harry Belafonte was huge.
Absolutely. So, there's been different people throughout history that have made, political statements, or, have tried to advance Black people. And nobody has like exclusive rights on being able to put some agenda to the table. That's just
and we gonna get, you know what? I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna wait till we get to it, because it's so much. It's so much. So we talked about the contract with Black America. And so now I want to move on to the tweet that kind of started this whole poop storm.
Hullabaloo, right?
Hullabaloo. Poop storm.
Shenanigations.
Oh, wow.
Tomfoolery, haberdashery.
So the tweet that started the foolishness, shenanigations.
Right.
I kind of like that word, shenanigations.
I think I heard that on Wendy Williams.
You are being charged with shenanigations. Okay, so I want to get to, if I can find it now, the original tweet. Here we go. By Katrina Pearson, that chick in Trump's party administration, whatever. This is what she put. Shout out to Ice Cube for his willingness to step up and work with real Donald Trump administration to help develop the platinum plant. Leaders going to lead, haters going to hate. Thank you for leading. So, that was posted to start some stuff, because she And everybody else in Donald Trump's camp knows good and well that Ice Cube did not help develop the Platinum Plan. The Platinum Plan was already put together before they had any conversation with Ice Cube about the contract with Black America.
Right.
And like he has said 11 times, and I feel bad for him because he was sitting in that same room with that same background and that same cap on his head.
I was going to say, that same black tam for the country folk, that same black tam on his head.
It's like, is he allowed to leave? But I feel like he has just been there forever saying the same thing over and over again. Like, y'all are some of the dumbest journalists. Like, are you not doing any research? Okay. But anyway, so he's emphasized over and over again. He worked with some others, came up with this contract with Black America. He contacted Democrats, contacted the Republicans to say, look, hey, this is what I got. I'd love to talk to you guys about it. Biden said, nah, we good. We'll talk to you after y'all vote. And Trump's party was like, we got some questions. Can we use some of what you got? Cool, no problem. Everybody's jumping up and down, having a total hissy fit, simply because he said, I'll work with whoever, Democrats or Republicans. And he said, if you are for real, I got problems with everybody. He said, because if you think about it, we've been working with Democrats as Black people all these years, and we still ain't getting nowhere. So how are Democrats that much better than Republicans? And how can we argue with that?
It's real, because really what's happening to him is no different than what Trump supporters have been complaining about over the last couple of years, that, because they identify with this party or because they support this person, they're being shut down or marginalized or whatever. And we can think or say whatever it is that we want to say about, the Trump administration. I mean, that is what it is. But like, people have independent thought, you know what I mean? And my thing is, if the overall objective is to move Black people forward in all ways possible, then that means that you take it to every possible person that you can. You scream it from the rooftops, so that the agenda can be met. It's at that you don't have, and I understand, like, there's layers to this thing, because we know that Trump likes to use the Blacks for his own political agenda. He wants photo ops. He wants to be able to name drop, all of that kind of stuff. I get all of that, and that has its place. However, are we supposed to, or should I say, should Ice Cube or whomever has an agenda, should they sit on their hands until there's a Democrat in office? You know what I mean? Like, that's insane.
It is insane. It's absolutely insane. And, in some of the interviews that we're going to talk about, some people said, well, how can you trust that he's actually going to follow through and do anything about this? And he said, I don't know what they're going to do. I can't say what they're going to do. He said, I can't say that Biden will do anything with it. He wasn't willing to talk about it. We can start there. But I can't say, even after, if he's in office, he'll do anything with it. He said, I can't do anything about that. All I can say is Black folks, we need to keep pushing whoever is in power. And I'm totally with him on that. Do we like Donald Trump? No. Do we think he's an idiot? Yes. Is he racist? Yes. Is he dumb as two bricks? Yes. That's what we got.
Right. Well, my my thing is, okay, yeah, we can't trust Donald Trump. That's clear. But at the same time, if you look at some of the policies that Biden has supported in the past, can we trust him?
We can't talk about that, Kim.
I'm just like,
talk about that.
The hypocrisy is insane to me. And like, come on, we have to be critical thinkers.
Yeah.
You know, like it is so important to be critical thinkers. We get on this, you know, soapbox and talk about how, you know, Trump supporters is like a cult, and, you know, they're sheep and nobody thinks for themselves and all of this kind of stuff. But
they kind of
you're going after Ice Cube like a mob.
Yeah.
And like, you're not even hearing what this man is saying.
Yeah, they can't get past they mad because he didn't have an issue going to Trump. And like, you know, he had said, we're, you know, treat him like the boogeyman and we just gonna run away.
Right.
And he's like, that's not the answer. And right. I love his fearlessness. I love his very matter-of-fact attitude. And that's how he's always been. Anybody who's followed him in any way, shape, or form, when he would talk about politics and justice for Black people, he's always been very matter-of-fact. He's a lot more mellow than he used to be.
Right.
Like, you know, I didn't know whether to expect some F-bombs to come out, some N's to come out, you know, so he has calmed it down. But him being very straight to the point and matter of fact and standing his ground, that has not changed. And I respect him to the utmost for that. And he does not seem swayed at all by everybody just coming at him. He's still just as cool and mellow and smooth as he want to be.
Well, see, that's what happens when you're dealing with a person who's standing on principle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're standing on principle that you actually believe in, it doesn't matter whether anybody else agrees with it or if it goes with the status quo, regardless of what is coming at you. You have that principle as your foundation to stand on. Yeah. When you're speaking from a place of emotion, then you can be rattled and swayed to react in any kind of way because you're not standing on something of substance. You know what I mean? Emotion changes. There's ebbs and flows with emotion. But, you know, this is a principle that he has lived by or has been important to him for a long time.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just I'm very proud of him for how he has conducted himself, because I think any negative response that he gives, they're just going to use that as fodder. You know?
Yeah. So we've gone over the tweet. They kind of started the whole thing, you know, the Trump camp trying to, you know, pretty much lit the match. And I will say this, I think that in this whole agenda is really to kind of separate us as Black folks.
Right.
Part of me really feels like it's to silence him as a Black man.
Right.
And it's to separate us. And it's working. It's working. It's to discredit Ice Cube. And it's working. There was no reason for them to, you know, tweet that out and lie the way they did. They could have just put out the truth and said, you know, thank you to Ice Cube for sharing the contract with Black America with us. That would have been true. But no, they couldn't do that.
I don't have an expectation for a liar not to lie. Right. Their administration, they're just liars. There's no way, ifs, ands, or buts about it. So my issue really isn't with them doing what it is that they do. My issue is with Black folks knowing that they have a history of lying, and as opposed to asking questions, they have, taken the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and they're trying to destroy this Black man.
Yeah.
Off of words from liars.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's the part that, like, really, I'm so baffled by that.
Yeah. Yeah. I am too. Like, we know he's a liar. We know all of his people are liars. And we will call them out about being liars on everything else. But as soon as they say something about a Black man, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. He's working with Trump. He's supporting Trump. He never said he was supporting Trump. He never said he was working with Trump.
He said quite the opposite on every interview that I have seen. He has been consistent with saying, number one, I never actually met with Trump. Me and some of my people met with some of the people from the administration. The Platinum Plan is not my plan. My plan is the contract with Black America. Like, he's been very clear. I gave the information to both the Biden camp as well as Trump. These were the responses from both people. The people who wanted to have a conversation right now is the people that I had a conversation with.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But people want to make it what they want it to be.
Yeah, because people can't get past that they don't believe he should be talking to anybody in Trump's camp at all. And so they feel like if he's even talking to them, then we have to look at them sideways, look at Cube sideways, which is crazy to me, because this is the thing. All of us are not going to have the same methods. We're not going to have the same thoughts in terms of how this journey should go, how we should go about fighting for change, right? And my thing is, we don't need to agree on the exact methods. We just need to agree on the goals.
Right.
And you have people that have put themselves in charge of everybody else. Right. And that's not the way this is supposed to work. Nobody is supposed to be in charge, So anyway, let's move on. Did you get a chance to look at this interview, this Roland Martin interview?
I did.
with Alicia Garza.
With her nice, nasty self. Isn't she just so nice, nasty?
The smiles.
Yeah.
The looking up her nostrils the whole time, pretty much. Like, you can put your head down, honey. I don't need to look up your nose.
Oh my gosh. I was so irritated with her. And it took everything in me just to, like, quiet my spirit so that I could really hear what was happening.
Yeah. My chest was hot.
I was fuming.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She did everything she possibly could to, in the nicest possible way.
She was nasty.
Yes. Just, basically, you're not qualified. I've been here. You haven't. You need to wait your turn. But even if you had a turn, once again, you're not qualified.
Right.
Because I have 20 years in the game. And by the way, do you think that Black Lives Matter is a
terrorist organization?
Like, what?
Because I get threatened every day. I'm not threatening you.
Right.
It ain't me. I'm not telling nobody to threaten you. I'm not saying it's a good idea to threaten you. Like, why was she coming at him like he was the one calling her house, making threats? Like, you ain't checking for you.
I swear.
Yes. And the whole thing of, I just don't understand how people feel like he is hurting us. They behave in a way like what he's doing is hurting us. If you believe that him going to Trump is a waste of time, then let it be a waste of time.
Right.
How is it hurting us? They're acting like he has betrayed us in the worst way, shape, or form. How? You just don't like that he's talking to Trump.
What I consider something that's hurting us would be something like when Terry Crews made that comment about being careful not to say, in saying Black Lives Matter, that it's not, that we're not basically approving Black supremacy. That was hurtful to us, you know what I mean? And to the movement. But what Ice Cube is doing, like, I don't understand how anybody could take something negative away from him having an agenda that says, hey, we need job opportunities, education opportunities, opportunities to finance homes. There needs to be oversight for these lenders, so that we can see, okay, how many Black people are actually getting approved? How many Black people are being denied? What about credit reports? And looking at arrest records and things like that, in conjunction with approvals and all of this stuff. Like, all of this is legitimate. Police reform, not banning chokeholds, and
getting rid of qualified immunity.
And, like, all of these things are beneficial to Black people, trying to get this agenda pushed. So, just because you feel that the messenger is not of the Negro elite, he's supposed to just be quiet.
Yeah. And this is the other thing I thought about too, because I've watched parts and pieces of the interviews several times. I think part of it also is because you have all of these intellectuals, highly educated people, right, that are leading, in doing all these different things, and for Black folks. And I think that they're looking down at Q because he's not highly educated. I do think he is an intellectual, but that's separate from being educated. You know what I'm saying? But he's not college educated, and he doesn't speak the way they speak.
Right.
And I think there's some judgment because of that. I really do.
For sure.
And just because he doesn't speak the way they do doesn't mean he doesn't have something to say. Absolutely. And what he's saying isn't relevant. And I feel like some people have made themselves the guardian and the person, a person who can decide who is allowed to speak, who is allowed to even start and try to be a leader. Because my thing is, for you to jump up and be like, I've been doing this for 20 years. Well, it started with a year, then to 2 years. And what you're pretty much telling Ice Cube, I don't even want you to start.
Right. Not only did it start with a year, but it started on the heels of someone else who already had 20 years invested.
Thank you. Did you wait in line?
Exactly. She did what she felt like she needed to do.
Right. And I just don't like, that it seems like they want to, the Black elite, let's just put it there. People that are in the Black elite or the upper echelon, of the Black community, look down at everybody else.
He has said in multiple interviews that, he didn't just come up with this himself. He asked for help. He had experts to help him to get this together. One of the people being Dr. Claude Anderson. And if you haven't heard of this man, please look him up, because he is just like incredible. And he really is a hero, in my opinion, as far as Black issues are concerned. He's really, he talks about wealth, accumulating wealth and all of that. So, to assume first and foremost, or not even hear him when he's saying, I've gotten all this help, and anybody who wants to help, I'm welcoming you, I'm encouraging you, please, come in. They're totally disregarding that. And it's almost like they're trying to push this idea that, he's sitting in the studio and with his one hand, he's writing lyrics to the next song. And in the other hand,
F the Police Part 2.
It's like, it's crazy to me. And to dismiss his credibility because he's a rapper to me, it's so hypocritical when you think about the root of what all of this is about. Because we've been marginalized because of the color of our skin. And people have thought that was base enough to murder us, to treat us as less than human, to not give us rights of any kind. That to them, that was a legitimate reason. And so now she's basically saying, your voice doesn't hold any weight in the game because you are a rapper, or because you don't have degrees or whatever. You know what I mean? I could say, well, lady, you have a blonde wig adhered to your head. Okay. And people can get mad at me. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But I'm just saying, some people could look at her and question if she even loves herself because she has somebody else's hair affixed to her head. Like that's real deal.
Yeah, so, and that's a whole other issue that we will be getting into on another show. Stay tuned. Okay.
I'm just saying, I don't need the hate. If you want to wear wigs, weaves, sew-ins, whatever, that's your business. I don't care. That's not the point. The point of what I'm saying is that we can take any individual and find something to hone in on and try to make whatever it is that they're saying invalid. But it doesn't make it so. And in doing that, especially as a marginalized group of people, in doing so, we are inflicting the same injustice on another person that we're trying to get from under. It's hypocrisy.
It is. And I just want to jump in and say the reason that we are covering this is because, well, I know for me, it just kind of hit me with how people are coming at Ice Cube. And, the leaders of Black Lives Matter are all women. The co-founders of Black Lives Matter are all women. And that's fine. That's fantastic. But it feels like with Cube trying to take leadership and taking initiative and, putting himself on this platform, putting himself in the forefront, because what he could have done is had the other people that he worked with that do have more experience. He could have had them take the forefront and he take a back seat, but he chose to take the forefront and take the hits with this, right? And I feel like this Black man is being attacked for doing that. And I just feel like he should have actually been embraced, and the women in power should have said, what can we do to help? Let's share, let me share with you where we are, what we've done, and let's talk about what you have and how we can all work together. Because honestly, for Black folks, I think we need some Black men standing beside us on the ground to show our unity as Black people.
Yes, I agree.
It bothers me. It really bothers me. Again, it's fine and cool for Black women to be in leadership, but it's an issue when a Black man wants to say, hey, I'm joining in, I have something to say. And it's like, because that's what it feels like.
How dare you? Right. I mean, to me, what they're doing to Cube is, and this may sound, my language may sound a little dramatic, but it made me think of like a modern day bull breaking. You know what I mean? Like that's what came to mind, because like it is so important, especially now, for us to have not only images, but representations of strong, Black, principled, masculine men. You know, that is something that is very important for our community to see. And, you know,
but there are a lot of people, they won't say outright that they don't agree, but they don't agree. And we can tell by the dialogue that you hear in different platforms on social media. If I hear someone say one more time, a Black cis man, I'm so tired of that term because they use, is it cis? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, CIS, yep.
They use that like a jab. When they say a cis man, they use it as a jab. And it's like, why are we attacking straight men? Well, this is Twilight Zone.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that, you know, we'll get some hate for that too. But, you know,
hater.
Exactly. You know, there has to be balance. You know what I mean? The creator made this planet, this universe in balance. You know, everything has a complement, you know, or an assister, or, you know, a guider, so that everything can flow properly. And, you know, we have, as a culture, Black people, you know, because of the things that have been done to us and our inability to turn it around, the dynamic is so out of order.
Yeah, it is.
And the loudest voices in the room, most of the time, are Black women. And that's not to say that Black women don't have important things to say. That's not to say that.
Yeah, we obviously believe we do. Yeah. Obviously.
But I think that it's important that we understand that we are not the only members of the Black community.
Absolutely.
And that the Black man's voice is important as well. Yeah. And that sometimes we have to just sit still and allow that man to express a complete thought. Just a complete thought, Lord. A complete thought without being interrupted.
But what about women?
That's a good segue to the what was it? The sisters Queens of the Wine, or
oh, okay. So we'll jump to them and then we'll go back to For Harriet.
Okay.
But you're right. That's a good segue into the sisters drinking wine, or I don't know. Cocktails. Oh, Cocktails with Queens. That's what it's called.
Oh. Also known as Loud and Indignant. Yeah.
Coming soon to Fox Soul. So, okay. So Cocktails with Queens is a show that's on Fox Soul. It is Vivica Fox, Lisa Ray, Selena
Johnson. Is it Johnson?
Selena Johnson, I believe. And Claudia Jordan.
Yeah.
Ain't that your girl? Oh, never mind. Claudia Jordan, I think it was 4, right?
I think so.
Okay. So they have a show. I've never watched it before. I just happened to come across of it actually when I was going through YouTube, you know, recent news on YouTube, and I saw that they had Ice Cube on there. And I remember, you know, as I'm scrolling through, and I was like, oh Lord. I said, do I want to? And I was like, I'm intrigued. Y'all done suck me in. I got to do it. So they had Ice Cube on, I guess to talk to him about this whole debacle.
Mm-hmm.
And Vivica Fox seemed the most disturbed and the angriest about this. So, Ice Cube goes on his regular explanation about what happened, what was said versus what happened, what they said he did versus what he really did.
Right.
And Vivica Fox and everybody else goes in about, but Trump said this, Trump did that. And he's like, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not here to dispute that. What I'm saying is that's who is in power. And I went to both parties. I mean, he could really just record this and just hit the play button over and over again in these interviews. And they just, bottom line is they weren't trying to hear it. Right. Another thing I thought that was interesting is how Claudia Jordan just kind of slid in. Oh, I used to be friends with Trump. I used to work with Trump. And it'd probably be more beneficial for me if I still was friends with him. But anyway.
Right.
But we just gonna let that one go.
Right. Okay. But you can't talk to him. Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then it got into this shouting match, and all of these women, and I'm gonna say it, they were just clucking, And I'm sitting here going, I felt so bad for him. He seemed pretty unbothered. I don't know if Cube, smokes a little something before these interviews because he's so mellow. I feel like gunshots could go off and he'd be like, all right. But that's neither here nor there. But they were just started going off on him. And I was just like, this is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But tell me your thoughts on
it. Well, yeah, first of all, anybody knows in an interviewing type situation that crosstalk is a no-no. And so for everybody to be speaking, nobody could be heard.
Right.
Really anyway. So, the etiquette first and foremost was just thrown out of the window.
Yeah.
Even though I will say I did notice Lisa Ray was quiet for a good portion. So yes. I have to give props to her because it seemed to me like she was actually listening and trying to understand what was happening.
I actually said the same thing when I was talking to NERDSoul about it. And I said, she did try to jump in his defense at one point, but because it was like, she kind of, she literally rolled back in her chair. Like literally, you could see her body move back.
She conducted herself the way that you conduct yourself in an interview. You know what I mean?
The purple wig, but let's move on.
But okay, so Miss Claudia Jordan was, oh my gosh. So she says, I read your, this contract, and I don't see anything specifically geared towards Black women. And it was like my soul got hot because what has been an issue in the Black family dynamic since the 70s has been this push, or even late 60s, early 70s, there's been this push to make the Black man's stance or position invalid.
Yeah.
And by pushing, whether you want to label it as feminism or, women's rights or, inclusiveness, whatever word that you want to put on it, it seemed almost like she was wanting for there to be a caveat in this contract that is for all Black people.
All Black people.
And that's crazy crazy to me because there is, like we said earlier in the show, there is no other contract or agenda out there that's specifically for Black people only.
Right.
Not all minorities, not, this is specifically for Black people.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the lending practices, that is inclusive of Black men and Black women.
Right.
When you like, it's crazy when you talk about police reform, when you talk about education and jobs, that is Black men and Black women.
I read through the whole contract. I did. I took the time and I read through the whole thing. Not one line, not one sentence, not one phrase did he say Black men.
Right.
Now, I could roll with them if he referred to this is for Black men and Black men should have this and Black men should have that. He did not. He said Black people, which includes Black men, Black women, Black transgender, no gender, LGBTQ, everybody. If you Black, it includes you. Why do we need to divide ourselves by gender? Why are you trying to create a divide and act as though all of this is for Black men and we need something separate for us? No, that's the other thing. We need to be together.
Right.
We need to stop this foolishness, have unity, show unity.
Yeah.
Why do you think they keep doing these things? The powers that be keep doing these things to feed that division. If they didn't already see it there, they wouldn't be inclined to feed it. And we fall for it every single time.
So true. I mean, you that's happening in the Black Lives Matter movement as we speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it started off about police brutality. Blanket. Black people are subjected to violence, being killed, all of that, exponentially in comparison to others. That was the beginning message. And then all of these subgroups started popping up within the organization. That's not to say that subgroups aren't important, but what ends up happening is it creates a divide within.
It does.
Because there are going to be people that either have an issue with subgroups, some of the subgroups, and not want to align themselves with the movement anymore, because of these come on.
Yeah.
The same tactics have been used for years.
Yeah.
And we continue to go down this rabbit hole. It's bananas to me. So then after that, so he encouraged, he's like, hey, I think, adding something for Black women would be fantastic. I encourage all of you, hey, write up something. Let's get together.
No, because this is yours. Shut up then. Because I thought that was so funny. Because he was like, you know what? Cool, no problem. Y'all can get together. You can write it.
Right. See, that's when you know that they're just talking to talk. You know what I mean? And like it seemed like no matter what he said, they were holding on to the narrative that they had at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter that he had clarified all of the errors with the things that they were saying.
Yeah.
They still wanted to hold on to it. And I mean, they just really, that was just horrible. The way they did it was horrible.
It really was. And it just made me even more frustrated. And it's like, y'all had the opportunity to come on here as 4, prominent Black women, and you could still express if you didn't agree with how he did it. And you can even say, I feel a certain way about you going, to Trump's party, But let's forget that for a second. Let's talk about the contract with Black America. Let's talk about our overall goals. There's a way to do it without being contrary to how you feel. It depends on what you want to focus on and emphasize. And I feel like that was their opportunity as Black women on a platform for everybody to see, to show support and love to a Black man that was taking initiative and using his platform. But instead, what y'all did was took the opportunity to collectively, come after him, tear him down. And it made me frustrated. It made me angry.
Right.
Yeah.
If I don't know if you watched some of the other interviews, like with Chris Cuomo from CNN.
I did.
And Ari, I can't remember Ari's last name, on MSNBC. Completely different tone, completely different approach. He actually, and this is sad to say, that he actually was able to talk about the contract in more detail on those forums than he was on the forums that are designed for Black people.
You know something?
It's mind-boggling.
You know something?
Mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to a YouTube channel called For Harriet, which is a young lady named Kimberly. Not this Kimberly.
Not this Kimberly. That's
not
right.
This Kimberly. No. And so For Harriet was yet another Black woman going in on Ice Cube. And she was kind of taking the attitude, even though she said, I'm not saying shut up and dribble, but that's pretty much what she was saying, was shut up and dribble, the equivalent of shut up and dribble. Now, who does he think he is? Who is he, to take this platform, and who is he to say all these things, and where has he been? First of all, y'all killing me with this, where has he been? Because in one of the interviews, I've seen so many, they kind of overlap now. He was like, people want to ask where I've been, where you been? You want to, set a specific time where I'm supposed to be doing this. Because if he had done it last year, well, what are you doing it now for? We're not voting till next year. But now he does it. What you doing it now for? We getting ready to vote. Like, just sit down. Where is your plan?
There's no winning. There's no winning. People say that they want to be liberated, but anytime that anybody comes with anything at all, it's a problem. And it doesn't matter who it is, because the same thing was done to Dr. Umar Johnson. I don't know if some of the listeners know who he is, and you can say whatever you want about him, whether you agree or disagree with what he has going on. But his position, the lane that he was in was that he felt like, because he's in the school system, he's a school psychologist, he was seeing Black boys being diagnosed with ADHD, given medication, all of this kind of stuff. That was his lane. So he wanted to try to educate parents and, basically change the dynamic with school, to keep these kids from being medicated or falsely being placed in special education, that type of thing. Well, he then, of course, becomes a target, and his credentials are questioned. It's like all of these things that Black people do to these people who take stances that say, hey, we need a change. We need for things to improve, and I'm going to step up and make something happen. They're more scrutinized than Biden and Harris.
Yeah.
Biden and Harris get a full sweep right into, approval.
Yeah.
Without any scrutiny whatsoever because they have the Democrat label on them. And so it's okay to turn a blind eye at everything that has happened that has been harmful to us. You know, but you have these people that are putting their lives on the line to do something. You know, whether you agree with it, they're doing something that is positive or, you know, with the intention of helping our community, and they just get burned at the stake.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and for Harriet, she was going in, like you said, with Q. He's, you know, again, he's just making this initiative. He's trying, but everybody is like losing their wig. And she, in essence, pretty much says, you're a rapper and you're misogynistic. And then she refers to NWA. And I'm like, do you know how long ago that was? That was 30 some years ago.
Right.
You know, and not to deny, yes, he was in NWA. Yes, the music was misogynistic. I don't think even he can deny that at this point. He probably won't use that word, quite honestly, but he can't deny the content. None of us are going to deny that. But the point is, people change and people grow. And it's funny because she wants to say that about him and that Cube needs to stay in his supposed lane as a rapper. But where was all this energy when Cardi B met with Biden? Was that her lane? I don't think it was. That wasn't her supposed lane.
Yeah.
And even though she's a woman, isn't her music misogynistic? Or it's not misogynistic because she's a woman?
Well, you
know, if a man took the same lyrics and said those lyrics, we would lose our poop.
Gold star for feminism.
Contradiction at its best.
Exactly. She's a woman, so the rules don't apply.
You know, the rules don't apply. Turned upside down.
Well, so the whole misogynistic music thing. Here's my thing. If you're going to use his music as a way to you know, make your point, then you need to talk about all of his music. Because there was a whole lot of misogynistic stuff going on, but there was also a lot of political messages as well.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you can't cherry pick in order to, you know, prove some kind of point.
Right.
And, you know, once again, I go back to this whole thing about the messenger, because that it just bothers me so much that a person can be basically dismissed because of their craft.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like Killer Mike started as a rapper, but look at
Killer Mike. I mean,
he just now opened a bank, an online bank for Black folks. This is what Killer Mike did. He started as a rapper.
For Black and Latino, but okay.
Well, okay, fine, true. Either way, I'm just saying, he's a rapper. So does him being a rapper disqualify or invalidate the work that he has done?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Same with T.I. Like it doesn't matter whether you agree with their position or their messaging or whatever. These are people that are activists, that are out in the streets doing things, like actively doing things, and they're rappers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I just think it's absolutely, you know, ridiculous. And you know, it goes back to, I think what I mentioned a little bit before, is like, are we policing and judging, you know, when someone or which someone it can be more vocal and active in our fight for justice? You know, we're saying, oh, well, you know, he's a rapper, so he shouldn't be standing up and doing that, you know, or he doesn't have the experience that so-and-so has. Well, how do you get experience?
Right.
By starting to do stuff. Exactly. If you're going to contradict somebody or, you know, jump on somebody for doing something, they'll never get experience. Exactly. It doesn't make sense. Right. And, you know, again, the whole subdividing Black people, because for Harriet went in on, and she did a whole lot of supposing and I don't believe and probablys about who Ice Cube was working with. No, don't come on here and do a rant about probablys and maybes and probably nots. You know, do your research.
Right.
Well, he probably didn't have any LGBTQ or transgender people. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. To me, the issue isn't whether he did or not. I could understand if she said, I know that he refused to work with those people because they are transgender or get, then I can see that issue.
Right.
But the thing is, why are we continuously trying to chop each other up and subdivide? This is about Black people. And I'm going to say this. As a Black person, do not get it twisted and think that your sexual orientation and how you identify in terms of gender overshadows your Blackness. Because when a cop stops you and decides that he gonna do what he gonna do to you, he's not gonna ask, by the way, you know, do you identify as whatever? No, you're Black. Your Blackness trumps all of that. Right. And when we talk about Black Lives Matter and we talk about justice for Black people, it covers everyone. Right. We're not coming and asking you what your orientation is. Right. And you don't need to come into this fight trying to take over and push your agenda in terms of LGBTQ. Right. That's not what this fight is. This is about all Black people, regardless of that. And I'm tired of it.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, it's a means to divide. It's a means to divide, because if you're focusing on how your particular group is distinct from the larger group, it's only going to create dissension. And that's not to quiet the voices of the LGBTQ community. That's not to quiet the voices of women. You know, that's not to quiet the voices of evangelicals or whomever. Mm-hmm. It's not, it's like sometimes sometimes all of these little battles, we need to just pump our brakes on and concentrate on the war. Absolutely. Because it's like we can never get to the war. These battles always break out in any movement. These battles always break out before we can get to the real war, where policy change, you know, a breakdown in systemic racism, like we can never get to that point. No, because whatever organization, movement, revolution, whatever, it always is dismantled before that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's really up to us, because just like I feel like feminists are trying to infiltrate the Black Lives Matter movement, but it's up to us to say, no. We are together as Black men and women. We understand the whole feminist issue, the whole feminist fight, but that can't be, infiltrated into this. We are together as a Black voice, men helping women, women helping men, period. We don't need no more subdivisions at all. Right. There is a separate forum for us to talk about women's issues, because trust and believe, the feminist agenda does not have Black women on the high end of their list of concerns. Right. They do not.
It's true.
They just want to infiltrate the Black Lives Matter movement because it's hot.
Right. Right. And in the same way, like, okay, because and I feel like I'm kind of jumping around because my mind is all over the place. Forgive me. I am a Gemini through and through. But with Ice Cube, he may not have the experience. That is true. However, he does have an incredible platform. Mm-hmm. And so for all of these, intellectuals to get together, work with him, come up with this contract, and he be the face of it, I think that that's powerful. He may not be the most eloquent speaker that there is, but one thing that I can say is that there are certain people in the entertainment world that when they speak, I can say, okay, this person is real. You know what I mean? Like what they say holds weight with me. I feel like they are a credible person. And whether I agree with what they're saying or not is not the point. But I can say, okay, this person, stands on principle. I can roll with this person based upon how they've handled themselves in interviews and that type of thing. So just him being the figurehead and them utilizing his platform to get this contract out to the world is amazing within itself. And it's like they're being counterproductive to the movement because they just don't happen to like whose platform is being used. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, he doesn't fit the picture, the protocol. He isn't wearing his suit. He's not Harvard educated. He doesn't have 1,011 degrees. He's not on all these different committees. He hasn't been working on this for 20 years. None of that. And so for the elite, they're just not feeling it. They're not having it. They're okay with listening to his music. They're okay with doing an interview and talking about his music and, NWA and all this kind of stuff and keeping him back 35 years ago. They're cool with that.
Right.
They're not cool with him joining with them, which is crazy to me, but it feels like that's what's happening. And I'm sorry, I got to keep going back to Alicia Garza. My chest was warm. The way this woman looked down on him and her nasty attitude, like he just talked about her mama or something. Like,
it was, and I liked how Roland. Okay, so with Roland Martin, I'm not going to say love, hate. I surely can't say love and I can't say hate. I'm going to just say, Roland Martin for me is like drinking a warm cup of water on a hot day.
Just tepid.
He has great information, but he also says a whole lot. And if he could just maybe remove about 5 paragraphs from whatever it is that he wants to say, I could appreciate him a lot more.
Yeah.
But the undertone that I felt like was there with what he was saying was, go ahead and align yourself with Alicia because he's a more qualified, appropriate person.
Yes, absolutely.
To, kind of get this thing going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you just kind of fall in line under her, then it would be a better situation. And then at the same time, he was saying, well, a lot of these things that you have on your list have been on other people's lists. So, being that there is this overlap, that makes it even more important for you to align yourself with Alicia. So can I have permission to give each other, give you all's information to each other so that you guys can, work together? But that wasn't the approach that he took in an interview prior to that. He had an interview with Ice Cube a few months back.
Really?
And yeah. And when he was talking to him, in my opinion, it wasn't the same energy.
I'm about to find that.
To me.
Interesting.
It wasn't the same energy.
But one thing I remember her saying that was like, "Oh, you mad?" When after Roland, I think, had asked them both, "Can I give you each other's information?" And she said, what did she say? "I've been working on this for however long, and I'm sure we would have gotten farther if we had your platform."
Yeah. Right.
Ooh.
So wait, so we're supposed to acknowledge the 20 years that you've had in your lane, but we're gonna disregard the 30 plus years that he's had in his lane, because that's how he has his platform, darling. You know, he got skin in the game for 30 plus years, darling. Ooh, child.
So yes. So to wrap this all up, whether you agree or disagree with, Ice Cube going to the Republican Party, I think we need to focus on what he's come up with, and that he is a partner with us. Okay. Again, we're not going to all agree on the methodology, but I think we need to all come together and agree on the common goal. And I'm going to say this: at the end of the day, as Black women, we need to find more reasons to support our Black men rather than more reasons to cut him down.
Yes.
Period. Especially in the open and in public, because I'm tired of it.
I agree.
Any last words, Madam Buddaphlai?
I think that you summed it up so beautifully. You know what I mean? Everybody just find a Black man to love and hug and hold and appreciate. I surely got one. Lady Lisa has one.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It'll make your life so much better. So you'll have so much joy, and you'll just the bitterness will just magically just wash away.
Tell it. So the word for today is find you a Black man to love. But no, thank you guys so much for joining us once again. Check out all of those links that we mentioned. The Contract of Black America. Check out some of those interviews, Roland Martin and Ice Cube. Just do your research, guys. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, NERDSoul, once again for allowing us to be on your platform. Check them out at ThatNERDSoul.com. And we have a lot more for you guys next time. So you can check us out on Fridays. And thanks again. Bye, y'all.
Peace, love, and light.